Today on Parts Hold, we are going to talk about the widely debated topic in the world, the work-life balance. And I have a feeling that what you think it is and what you're going to think it is after this is all over are two very different things. We're also going to talk about Cliff and going to prom, and just that seems like a weird sentence to say, just in general, and much, much more today on Parts Hold.
We'll be right back.
What do you got going on these days?
A ton this week. So I'm out here. Flew in late last night. I'm flying home Saturday morning, so I'm leaving here at 6 a.m. LA time. I'm getting home at 1:45.
Oh, it's direct.
In Charlotte. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
It's one of the good things about living in CLT. So, and then Saturday, my daughter has prom. I'm not going.
I would assume that Jamie wouldn't be okay with that.
I'm not going to prom, no. But now Jamie did go to prom with me.
Yeah, but it was a couple years ago.
So, yeah.
Okay, so Brooklyn's going. Is this her first prom?
Yes. Senior prom.
She didn't go as a junior?
No.
Okay.
She originally chose not to.
Well, she wasn't dating at that time, right?
No,
this is all new for her.
But now the thing that's different from I think when you and I went is a lot of people go.
We didn't go together, just in case someone is confused about that. We would have.
Absolutely, we would have. But I'll tell you about my prom in just a second too. But groups of them, girls and guys, go together. They don't particularly go like on a date or whatever. So they go and they just have.
Okay,
a
so
date.
it's friends.
Yeah, so it's just a big group of friends.
We had that.
We had very little of that,
okay.
as best I remember. But there again, it has been quite some time. But yep, she's got a boyfriend. So last year she wasn't going to go. She didn't want to go. And my wife and I celebrated our 25th anniversary last April. So coming up next week is 26 years.
So wonderful.
And then she decided at the last minute she wanted to go. So then she got the fear of missing out thing. And so it created a whole debacle, and that created a whole nother thing. And so this year she's going. Interested
with her boyfriend.
That's another subject for another time.
She's not going with her boyfriend?
No, she's going with her boyfriend. Yeah, but I would rather talk about that another time.
Why? Because you don't want to unpack this on camera?
Not right now.
All right. Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. It's just I'm still having a hard time with the boyfriend thing. But let me clarify. Okay, it's simply because she is the baby. Yes. She is my daughter.
He's a good dude.
He is fantastic to her. Great. Everything that he's done up until this point is exactly what you would want from a young man that is dating your daughter. Now, understand that 2 older sons and daughter, that's a rough go. Like, this kid's having a hard time. He's got a.
When do you let up and say he's made it?
Maybe when he hits the 6-month mark.
How close are we to that? Because I feel like it's been a minute.
We're getting close.
Yeah,
we're getting close. Probably June.
He's always a gentleman. Always has her home on time.
Yeah, he's super sweet. He's a good dude. He really is a good guy. He's got quite a remarkable story for a background to come out of what he's come out of and be such a good guy. He's got his head on his shoulders. He's planned his kind of thing out. He's going to school for firefighting. There's a lot of good things.
Yeah. So let's go there a little bit. Just understanding, what do you think a young woman's first dating experience typically is like?
Typically not good, from my experience.
So I'm just going to suggest that it could be a lot worse.
It could.
And that the other thing is that you have to trust Brooklyn's judgment a little bit too, because you've raised her really well, just like you have with the other 2 boys, right?
Yeah.
They're super responsible kids. Did you ever worry about who the boys were dating?
No, I mean, again, you could go really long with this. My oldest one was so adamant of playing college football that nothing else mattered to him
So
other
the
than
serious dating wasn't on his
never,
radar.
never. My middle one was so adamant to do what he's doing that didn't get in the way either. Like, not that they weren't interested in girls, but dating was not the first thing on their mind. That was way down the list
They saw
of
that
importance.
as a block to their goals.
Yeah,
right?
they're very goal oriented individuals, and most of the time, if you stick something in front of them to achieve, they're going to shoot for the stars and try to achieve it.
Yeah.
So they're very goal oriented. So that didn't play into it as much. They did both date, but to your point, no, I did not. Didn't.
Well, and I understand that one, she's your daughter, and two, she's the baby, right? So you guys don't have any other kids right now. So I guess we've talked about this a couple of times off camera, but I'm just really happy for her that she's getting to have what sounds like a super healthy experience.
Yeah,
for the first boyfriend.
Yeah, so my wife and I are reading a book together about marriage. And one of the things that they talk about in there, I feel like we're having like a whole Dr. Phil episode.
This is not even close to what anyone wants to hear, but they're going to hear it.
Right, but this is going to play into our subject today.
I agree with you.
But we're reading a book together. In one of the chapters, it talks about being friends in the marriage and that the friendship should be kind of the foundation. There aren't very many books out there on marriage that discuss friendships. So, and I'm not suggesting that Brooklyn's a place where she's going to marry this young man. Although
that's how you.
I was dating my wife when we were 17, and so the foundation of all of that and being really healthy is a great friendship, and they are great friends.
Yeah. I always think about that with relationships, and maybe I missed that on my first marriage for sure. And something that I notice differently now is that Claudia is like the first person I want to tell everything to.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about that friendship, right?
Yeah.
So the reason that we're talking about this is because our topic today is that work-life balance. And I think that, I don't know, I would say that there's none, right? There's no 50-50. There's no thing, but it's definitely something that you have to navigate of what are you going to give your energy to. I'm super curious to hear Cliff's take on this because I think, one, as a parts manager, but two, as somebody that's traveling around the country, and the way that you've made a really conscious effort. Like, this has been something that from the day that I hired you, I think, that it's always been something that's on your forefront to make sure that you're doing the right thing by both us as the company you work for and your family, which is very important to you. And I'm curious to hear how this conversation goes. And then I've got kind of like, I was going to give you my take from a leadership or a superior perspective.
That's
great.
great.
I thought that might be fair for you to kind of hear what my belief, our role as the leaders are in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So start off and tell me about that. Like, what's your philosophy on work-life balance?
Yeah, let me tell you how I did it wrong, and then maybe my belief system now, and where I think we've got to make sure that we're navigating.
Yeah.
Is that fair? So early on, when I became manager at a pretty young age, I felt like I had to be there for a very lengthy time. And so I would end up being at the store until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Okay, so I call that a time for money exchange.
Yes.
Is that how you perceived it?
Great way to look at it. Not at the time I didn't perceive that. I perceived as, because I was there, that meant that I was working hard and I was doing the job.
Yeah, but they were paying you, so you gave them time.
Yeah. Yep. Now, one of the things that I think that we have to be really, really conscious of is because both aspects, if they are not managed, can fail and have massive consequences in our lives.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, you could make an argument for both of them having equal amount of consequences, although I would probably lean a little bit more the failure at home would be more drastic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Now, with all that said, I think one of the things that we have to be really, really conscious about is when we are at work, we devote that time to work. And there has to be a cutoff. So one of the things that I think happens now because of the ability to log in anywhere and everywhere is we take our work home in every aspect.
Yeah.
Our phone, we log into our computers and all those things, and we're doing work. We're saying that we're shutting it off at 5 and we get home at 5:30, and then we jump back on the computer later in the day.
Yeah, that laptop just happens to flip open again.
Yep.
So I think the same way on the other side is that we've never been more accessible to our loved ones throughout our work time.
Agree with that too. Yeah.
Email, text message, phone call, whatever.
Yeah, you know, I mean, how many times have you gone to a store and you look over at someone, whether it be a parts counter person or a service advisor, and they're scrolling Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
And they've got 10 calls to make, or they've got $5,000 worth of inventory.
I just was at a store recently by the parts department. Counter person scrolling his phone, and guess what's going off the hook? The phone.
Oh, that's, yeah. That happens.
Yeah, like just, so I think I agree with that too. Yep. The other thing I think there has to be this really good balance about is, again, I'm at work, I'm doing work things. I'm at home, I'm doing home things. And so I think for a healthy life, that has to be a good balance. I think too many times I'm seeing people just wore out because they're spending their day on family things and they're spending their night on work things. So they've got it kind of flip-flopped, to your point.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So let me kind of just address first this phrase, this work-life balance, this phrase. And I think what it means is that you're supposed to take, energy and time for work, and you're supposed to take energy and time for out of work, for your personal life. I believe that's how it's phrased. Here's how I take work-life balance, is that if your work and your job are out of balance, it will affect your personal life. If your personal life is out of balance, it will affect your work life. So when I think work-life balance, what I think is I want to keep both sides good. And when it's going good at work, I want to accentuate that at home.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I would say is where that starts, and I'll just talk about myself, my current situation, right? So
the fact that you said current situation, I don't know why it made me laugh. That actually made me laugh.
Yeah, and I didn't mean it in a funny way, but it's okay that you took it. Okay, so right? You know Claudia. Would you say that Claudia is my biggest fan?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's on my team.
Absolutely.
Like, she's the president, vice president, secretary of the fan club.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that, comes her support of my success professionally. And anytime I'm having success professionally, she never perceives that as taking away from our relationship, that is building towards a better us future. And in the interim, when she knows when I go home that I'm very plugged in and we have conversations, and like I said, I like to download my day and talk to her about all the stuff that's going on or funny things that I've seen or whatever throughout the day, and that there's an expectation. I'm probably going to check a couple of emails throughout the evening. I just like to kind of see what's going on, or if I have a text from a coach or a salesperson or something like that I'm not going to let it sit. I'm going to address it. Because I know that if it's after hours and someone texted me, if I wait 10 minutes to respond, it feels like 45 minutes to them. And it doesn't take away from that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think some people believe that you walk out the door at 5 o'clock and you're done, you don't come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't subscribe to that, but what I do subscribe is that there's clear expectations.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I was going to say, because you made a great statement there, there's often this statement I remember when I was younger that people would say, well, wipe your problems out the door, that kind of thing. If there's boiling points in your life, and to your point, you said it was out of balance, like that rolls over. So you try to overcompensate at work. So let's just give the example that kids are out of control at home and school's not going the way it is. we try to overcompensate at work, and we become kind of this Nazi Hitler dictator at work as a manager, where I'm browbeating everybody, I'm going crazy, I'm fighting with the service manager, I'm fighting with the sales manager, I'm fighting with the GM, all because home life is out of whack, and I'm trying to overcompensate for it. And the same can be true
for home.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I also think that the whole leave it at the door thing sounds like a great theory.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Absolutely not. My wife, we say it all the time, that, you know, she just wants to know the amount of money that's in the bank, and that she's got the freedom to do what she wants to do.
That's it. I think that's your job in the relationship.
Yeah.
Is to make sure she's got what she wants.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's funny, but now if something takes place that I think adds to the conversation that we can have, we always are open to those conversations. It's not held back. So I agree. I'm anxious to tell her things that took place during the day. We are great friends. We've been fortunate enough to be able to grow up together, but there has to be that communication aspect of it. And I do think, I know they say that they can't, but they do bleed into each other, work and home. And so kind of maybe when I'm saying that work-life balance is that they have to be equally yoked. If they're unequally yoked, it's going to throw everything off of whack.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me into my next part about this is who controls Jamie's perception of your job?
I do, 100%.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And what do a lot of people do with their spouse?
Oh, they unload on them and tell them how it's, you know, they're trying to get me fired. They're trying to do this. They're always doing that. They're always taking away from it. So I could control the narrative of hey, honey, we don't have enough money to do whatever because they don't pay me, you know, to do whatever, or they took something from me. That's typically, I think that's what you're alluding to.
That's right. Yeah. So what happens in a lot of cases where I've seen it, where I can just tell an employee's out of whack or something like that. They'll have kind of downloaded, like how Cliff and I are talking about. We just want to tell our significant others everything, and there's other people that only tell like when they boil over, and then you start to talk about all the bad stuff, right? And so I can always tell that as a leader when we have get-togethers with the significant others and the spouses. I can tell how the download goes by the way that they treat me.
Oh, by the way the spouse treats you.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Fascinating.
But now
Never
it makes
thought
sense,
about that.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does make sense. Perfect sense.
And if someone keeps their spouse from me, typically is an indicator that kind of the negative download's happening.
Yeah, yeah. And you know if you're in a situation like ours where I'm, you know, the other side of the country, FaceTime is a prime example. I mean, how often are we on FaceTime together? And
probably
I'm at home?
More than we call each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the same thing should be happening. Well, I've seen you with your whole family.
Or FaceTime audio.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, I mean,
no one else thinks that's funny. By the way, but I do.
I'll bet there's somebody else out there that's facing have the issue with FaceTime audio. If you're making a call and it always says FaceTime audio. But yeah, we've been on FaceTime. I mean, my daughter has never been out here physically, but she loves if I'm here and Chris is here. She wants to get on FaceTime and talk to Chris.
We talk to her.
Yeah, I mean, she
it's
loves
great,
it.
and she's amazing.
Yeah, so she loves all that stuff. But I think that's very true. I've never looked at it from a leadership standpoint like that, but that's a great one.
Yeah. So that was one of my leadership takeaways from, you know, how do we control work-life balance for the employee and their family. So my first philosophy is that, and I think you'd said this too, but like we are a very intense company, and I make no bones about it. And when I hired you, I told you this would be the hardest job you've ever done. You remember that?
Yep.
And it's true.
Absolutely.
And as much as I appreciate you giving a piece of your soul to this job, we as a company really try to go out of our way to make sure that the families and spouses understand how much we appreciate you, you being shared with us, right?
Yeah, I think that the thing, that I would take away from that is, I think you have to be willing to give your heart and soul to whatever line of work that you choose to do. Completely and totally.
Yeah.
And I also think you have to give your heart and soul to your family completely and totally. And so that's probably I'm super passionate about my job. I'm super passionate about the people the client list that I've been given to take care of. And I think that bleeds through. Super passionate about my family. And I think that bleeds through too in everything that we do.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that I noticed with you, and maybe this was a transition that I've seen from you, is you've accepted that both can be true. You don't have to have one with conflict with the other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can have just as much love for your job as you have for your family.
Absolutely, you can. I think that might be, that's a great statement. I think that's a lot of things is people think that I can't be a devoted company man and be a devoted family man, or vice versa. But you can.
But we actually encourage it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that what you do it all for and what you give the piece of your soul for is the rest of your soul.
Yep.
Right.
And I think to your point a minute ago, that starts with us at the top, whatever leadership position you are in. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're us as a company, we're always trying to get better with our team. But I thought one of the things that probably was kind of like a really good example of that was the football game last year.
Yeah.
During Top Dog.
Yeah.
Where we invited, essentially, we invited to fly anyone that was available to come out, the spouses of the coaches.
Yeah.
And we got a beautiful box at the Rams game and everything like that.
Great time.
And it was just a really neat experience. And I think there's a camaraderie, like, and when the spouses are with the other spouses and stuff like that. And, like, they can see each other having fun and having a good time and everything. Yeah. So it's, for me, it's super cool to do those kinds of things. But, if you're a parts manager and you know that somebody's been working 80-hour weeks, encourage them to do something, right? Like, I think that buying somebody a couple $100 gift card to take their spouse out to dinner is, like, that goes a long way. And don't send it to the employee, send it to the spouse.
Absolutely, 100%. Send it straight home to their address, and have a night out on us, kind of thing. That would go a long way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing Cliff with us. Go out and have a great night.
Yeah, that's great.
So
that's great.
Good. So I hope that didn't get too sappy, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's what people say it is.
No, not at all.
If this happens to go viral and thousands of people watch them, you're like, what the heck? Those two know what they're talking about. Yeah. So, but it's something we're both very passionate about, and we care a lot about our families, and it doesn't even for a little bit detract from the quality of work that we're trying to do.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, I hope that sparks some conversations and maybe some changes of behavior, and if everyone's work life gets a little bit better and their home life gets a little bit better, then mission accomplished.
Yeah, so that's a great podcast.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.